guys. Sorry for keeping you.
Thank you.
Will you edit those long pauses?
We will.
The Attorney General will be physically present at the Hague-based court tomorrow for the status conference on President Uhuru Kenyatta's case and Deputy President William Ruto's the day after. In the Ruto case, the chamber requested him to respond as a representative of the government to prosecutor Fatou Bensouda's request, asking for the government of Kenya's assistance in compelling the appearance of the summoned witnesses before the court. Bensouda made this summons request after the trial chamber was repeatedly forced to adjourn or delay sessions when scheduled witnesses failed to turn up. But that, according to Attorney General Githu Muigai, is too much to ask. In his statement, Githu emphasizes that under Kenya's national law, in particular the International Crimes Act, a witness cannot be compelled to appear and testify before the court, regardless of where the court is sitting. But Bensouda argued in her summons request that if the court's ability to hear oral evidence were to depend entirely on the inclination of witnesses to appear voluntarily, it would be hostage to the continuing goodwill of its witnesses and at the mercy of external forces. The court, therefore, should take all available steps within its authority to secure the attendance of witnesses.
We say there's no such power. The ICC, the Rome Statute is clear, witnesses must come voluntarily.
Githu shares this sentiment by Ruto's lead counsel Karim Khan, adding that the court has no power to request the government of the Republic of Kenya to compel unwilling witnesses to appear and testify before the court. The obligation of Kenya as a state party, he says, is to facilitate the voluntary appearance of witnesses to testify before the court. Bensouda's request went on to state, and I quote, "To the prosecution's best information, nothing in Kenya's law prohibits a request that the government of Kenya require the presence of the summoned witnesses through compulsory measures." This, according to the Attorney General, is a flawed interpretation of the Kenyan law. Witnesses, he maintains, reserve the right to voluntarily comply with the summons or refuse to do so.
Is it international criminal justice?
Meanwhile, during a debate held at the Strathmore University, the subject of the bungled investigations of the 2007-2008 post-election violence cases cropped up. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions maintaining that the files are not prosecutable and that it is disappointing that the files were investigated as ordinary penal code offences and not within the framework of the Rome Statute.
Much easier to prove a case against crimes against humanity. I mean, it's easy to prove that people died, it's easy to prove that people were raped, because then you do not have to go to the nitty-gritty, like in the penal code, whereby if it's rape, you must prove with medical evidence that somebody was actually raped. Some of these victims never even went to the hospital for examination.
The question begs, would victims of the post-election violence have stood a better chance to achieve justice had the International Criminal Court expanded its focus to include low and mid-level perpetrators?
This is something that the ICC might have to consider in view of the spectacular failures it has faced, especially in Africa, where it indicts people whom it classifies as those most responsible, but it has no way of ensuring cooperation.
Whether the ICC process is perceived to be successful, whether it results in convictions or acquittals, regardless of the outcome, we will not have justice. Because 99% of the perpetrators who should have been under a local process have gone scot-free. And that is a fact.
The ICC will never ever be able to deal with all cases. That's why partnership between the national level and the international level will be very much the future challenge and development of international justice.
The two have to work together. They will rise and they will fall together.
In a perfect world, victims and countries would realize justice if international criminal justice systems and domestic justice systems were joined at the hip. Sylvia Chebet, Citizen Live at 9, Nairobi.